Hello everybody, San here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about this interview with Beam Therapeutics, Johns Evan, the CEO of the company, with our one and only Nat Haruni on YouTube. It is on stocks and investing with Pounding the Table YouTube channel. Basically, it is an interview that went on for about an hour and lots of hidden gems in there. I want to talk about that a little bit. I also want to talk a little bit about the stock price action with some of the CRISPR companies. And most importantly, I want to talk about an article I saw, the title of an article. So let's wind back here. And before we do that, you guys know exactly what I will ask you. Like this video, smash the like button, destroy the like button, really does help the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. If you have any comments, input, feedback, leave it in the comments below. We try to read and respond to every single comment. So this interview here, I watched it a few nights ago. In fact, I watched it the day after it was released on December 19. This is fresh, this is new. And this interview was with our user that we all know in this channel, hopefully most of you know, Nat Haruni. Basically went over this interview, asked some good questions. In fact, there were some great answers from the CEO John Evans. First of all, I didn't know he was an English major, so that's quite surprising, right? If you think about it, one of the leading companies in CRISPR space, in fact, the leading company when you talk about base editing in terms of technology and so on, efficiency and reducing off targets, single strand breaks. Obviously, this is the company, and I was totally surprised that the CEO actually majored in English. I didn't know that. I'm sure it was mentioned in the past. I completely missed that, but that just shows that this field can be learned by anyone and by everyone in the event that they actually put in the time, right? To put in the time, the resources to study the space. And I'm sure he didn't mention that. Evans didn't mention that in this interview, but I'm 100% sure he spent a lot of time reading textbooks, spent a lot of time having conversation. He made a lot of mistakes, and coming from an English major background, I'm sure he had some sort of biology basis knowledge. But if he didn't, then that just shows you can go from basically being an English major and becoming the CEO of one of the leading science companies, especially in biotech space, right? So keep that in mind. That was a beautiful answer there. There was also another answer about SpaceX, right? So I love how Evans sort of gave credits to SpaceX, obviously Elon Musk, their idea of iterations, of failing fast and iterating, and the idea of moving forward with technology and doing something that most people don't think it's possible. I love that analogy. I love the fact that the company is aware of what's going on with SpaceX, totally unrelated field than CRISPR has itself. Although I think SpaceX will most likely venture into CRISPR some way or some other, but that's another topic maybe for another day, especially with Elon's tweet recently that we've covered. But that was a great answer because it shows that John Evans here is acknowledging basically a company that did the impossible, right? And this is what these companies are doing in this space, specifically Beam Therapeutics with base editing, right? So love that answer. But the most, I think for most of us anyways, that are aware of this company and basically I've followed this company for some time. The thing that threw me off, and I think threw a lot of people off for the better, right? Was the fact when Evan started talking about robotics, right? So that was a great answer because it just shows the level of complexity that manufacturing requires and how technology is evolving, right? When you think about these labs, a lot of people still have that legacy mindset that they think it's like, individuals with like, the samples and then they bring them physically to some place, then they analyze it and then physically, all that time. And obviously, I'm sure some processes still work like that, but here there was an example that Evan said where they literally just drop a mounts to what they call a robotics, right? And that mounts basically gets its gene sequence, and then that sequence information gets sent directly in email to the scientists or to the team investigating. And obviously, the email part is not that complicated, right? That's just a server. That's just SDMP server email protocol. There's nothing hard about that. What is crazy is that they just drop a mouse to a specific, module, robotics section of it of their lab, and basically all that information is done automatically. Now you have to scale that, right? We're talking about one mouse. What if you put dozens of mouse right away, right? What if you put back to back to back mouses and all other samples, you get that sequence, that gene sequence right away. And again, you can't do any type of edit without actually knowing what you want to edit, right? So that's a big portion. So I love how robotics played a role here. Against, I highly advise you guys to watch this interview. I will link the interview in the description below here. Let me know what you guys think about this interview itself, but lots of hidden gem there. So I'll leave you guys off with that. Now, obviously, do watch the interview. It's just under an hour. I think you'll learn a lot. So in terms of prices, action prices, CRISPR Therapeutics, obviously, like other companies, got hit hard. We talked about NTLA. NTLA was hit a little less harshly, but CRISPR Therapeutics, Caribou Biosciences went all the way down from its IPO price. Beam Therapeutics got hit hard as well, not that much. I think NTLA and Beam Therapeutics were the two companies that held on its own, although they still dropped like 10, 20% over the past few months. CRISPR Therapeutics got hit very hard, right? That's not even question at that point. Look, since June, late June, which was when NTLA 2001 data came in, this company's been down 50%, and obviously a lot more since earlier this year. So, but I think a lot of people here are sort of estimating we've hit the bottom. But again, not financial advice, but clearly, getting down to 70, that's just crazy, guys. $70 a stock price, considering it hit over $200, $220 early this year. That's a huge that's a huge drop, right? The company was worth below, it was worth below $6 billion. It yet it has almost $2.5 billion cash in the bank, right? So that's just food for thought. And that's just one example, right? And again, the whole sector got hit, right? It's not just CRISPR Therapeutics, it's not even just CRISPR company. The NVT DNA got hit, but we're seeing that small rebound for today. Obviously, market's going to be closed shortly due to the holidays, so that is one thing. Now, I was scrolling down here and I saw something, and I'm gonna end this video with this thought, right? CRISPR fires R&D chief. This is from Seeking Alpha, right? And it's asking me for a free limit. I hate these. I mean, I use Ignito mode, or I use a Tor browser here from Brave to get access to those articles. But the point here is that they're putting these headlines, right? And CRISPR fires R&D chief, right? And I find that really, really misleading because one, we don't know if they fired them. What we know is that the Tony Ho departed from the company without disagreement, at least from what we saw from the filing on 20 December, which the CEO of the company signed off on. So do we actually know they fired them? No, we don't. And second of all, I think this is a very it shows a lot my thoughts on legacy media at times. Now, Seeking Alpha actually credits to them. Sometimes they put great transcripts, great articles on CRISPR companies. So, I'm sort of torn between my opinion on them specifically, but these types of headlines, first of all, it's not necessary. Second of all, it's not you're not firing the R&D chief, right? If the person left the company, that's not a fire. Now, obviously, we all know after the data was published, it wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. So obviously something played within those lines, but maybe not, right? This is all speculation. You can't just I don't even put those types of headlines in my YouTube videos, right? So I should be in a position to judge that because I don't even do that. So why does Seeking Alpha has to do that, right? It's should be something more like CRISPR Therapeutics R&D chief departs from the company, or R&D chiefs brutally leaves the company or abruptly, or something along those lines. But firing the R&D chief, that is not confirmed. That is just speculation, and it's misleading, and it's just getting your clicks in. Disappointed by that type of headline, but again, this is bound to happen, right? Legacy media always do this. They want more clicks and they want more views to pay their ads, to have more ads, right? So that those companies can pay more ads. And I don't think that's correct, right? I'm curious to what you guys think. It may not be a big deal, but to the layman, reading these articles, because there's a bunch of boomers and a bunch of people reading these types of articles. They come across this article and say, "Wow, this company's not doing great." They just fired their R&D chief, which is bad, right? But they didn't fire them, and the company is actually doing great in terms of fundamentals. Stock price, obviously not, but nothing has changed fundamentally. All the franchise is still intact, all the programs are still intact, more data in, more safety in. type 1 diabetes going forward with Health Canada. I don't see what's wrong here, right, fundamentally, but you get these types of headlines and it's just gonna promote that negativity. And I think that's again a subject that I didn't want this video to be all about, but just shows to you guys you have to do your own research, you have to build your own conviction, you have to read these types of articles and hopefully be in a position where you can learn from it and not let these articles take over your thesis on companies, and maybe build your own conviction, your own thesis, right? Be your own person of research, right? Because ultimately it is your hard-earned money. So thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll end this video like this. Leave me a like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. Thank you.